Hey there everybody, my name is Rick User here with AirgunWeb, your home for old school airgun reviews, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. Today we're going to take a look at the Seneca Eagle Claw in .25 caliber. Why? Well, stay tuned, I'm going to tell you. So before I get started, I definitely want to say thank you to Pyramid Air for sponsoring AirgunWeb and these videos. You guys want to get your next airgun, optic, accessory, all that cool stuff, be sure to check them out, www.pyramidair.com, and also please let them know that Rick sent you their way. So why are we looking at the Seneca Eagle Claw in .25 caliber? Well, it's actually really simple. I get asked all the time, Rick, what is the best airgun for hunting? And I'm talking small game to predators. Well, there are a lot of options on the market. There are a ton now. But the Seneca is my personal favorite. This is my pick. This is what I try and let people know about. This gun doesn't get the media it should because it is an exceptionally good air gun. And I want to tell you guys why I believe it is the best small game to predator air gun that you can buy. First of all, let's talk about the price point, $700. So this gun is pushing north of 60 foot-pounds in .25 caliber. It's got variable power. It's got 12 power settings. We will get into that here shortly. It's got a really nice 8-shot magazine. It's moderated. It's got a huge air cylinder. Only needs 3,000 PSI, so, well, 200 bar, so 2,900 PSI. So you don't need to crank this to 4,000 to get performance out of it. It does this just on regular old traditional 3,000 PSI air pressure. I actually think that's a real plus. The action on this really is what sold me on this. So I've had, this is obviously based off the Sumatra 2500. I've got that gun too, but the old stock was really sharp angled, and the way you had to sort of get your hand in this area, I just found terribly uncomfortable. This fixed all that. As you see, they've changed the angle. This is very, very comfortable as far as I'm concerned, and it makes the gun where you can just keep firing and never take your eye off the prize. You never have to pull your head away, take your hand out of the, the action, so to speak. You can just stay focused on your target, jack another round in, and take another follow-up shot very, very quickly. From a hunting perspective, to me, that's super, super important. There's another thing that really actually came up in this particular video that got me very excited. I've been wanting to use these are the heavy-duty steel Hawke rings. They're super match tactical, again, steel. They're not aluminum. But I had troubles trying to get them to work on different rifles. One, they're fairly low, and usually you have a gun like this with a magazine, you're trying to straddle the mag, or you get it too low and the bell's running into the barrel and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is the Hawke Frontier. This is one of their top end scopes, Frontier first focal plane. It's a 4-20. So I was really thrilled to see I could actually use these heavy duty, super nice rings on this gun, get my scope. As you can see, I am right down on it, guys. So I know that's like the prize people want to go for in getting a scope really close to the bore, and there's good reason for that. It helps with your trajectory and your holdover. It makes things easier. But we've always had this problem with the magazine, but all of this just worked. These heavy-duty rings got me really low, super resilient, beautiful scope. I got the eye relief where I want it. I'm straddling the mag. Everything worked beautifully with this scope, these rings on this gun, and it just made it so very, very comfortable. It's not real high up off the receiver. We're right down on it. So if that's something you've been looking to do, this sort of combination really, really works. Let's talk about this massive air cylinder here, because it's huge. I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably 500 cc, if not in that ballpark. It's pretty huge. How many shots do you get? How do the power settings work? All of that kind of stuff. Let me walk you through it. When you're going to go out hunting, I mean, people have this number in their head where they're going to need 1,000 shots. I don't know where that comes from, because anytime I've ever been hunting with a firearm, there was usually regulations. I could only have 5 shots in my pocket, and it was limited on how many rounds you could have in the gun and how many rounds you could have on you. So, you know, I'm thinking, where did this need for 50, 100 shots come from? I don't know. Maybe it's just a mindset, or if you're small game hunting and there's no limits, maybe that's it. But all the times I've ever been hunting, with the exception of hunting prairie dog, that is just a shooter's fest. You need a ton of air. There's no gun I know of that has enough air and shots on tap for me to be happy and not have to take some sort of air source with me. But every other type of hunting, whether I'm out here and I'm going to try and pest badger or coyotes, or I'm trying to clear out some jackrabbits, or whatever I'm doing, I never take more than 20 or 30 shots ever. So as long as the gun I'm going to hunt with has, you know, a good shot string, a good consistent, you know, place that I can live in the pressure curve with 20 or 30 shots, I'm going to be happy. Now, that's just my experience. Maybe you guys have a different experience. You're out squirrel hunting, you take 200 shots. I don't know. I've just never had that, you know, experience. The only thing that's similar to me is going to be prairie dog hunting. And as I said, there is no gun that has enough shots on tap. I'm always going to have to take air on that. So as far as I'm concerned, from a hunting perspective, 20 to 30 good shots is really what I'm looking for. Well, this gun, and I ran my crony tests. I did a bunch of crony tests. My first test, I ran this on 10 power. So if you look under here, you got a power wheel. So we have 12 power settings. Let me walk through it here. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 power settings. All right. When I was doing my initial sight-in and crony test, I set this to power level 10. I know that 12 I'm wasting air. I hadn't really run through the whole, you know, each specific power setting to see any variations yet, but I put it at power setting 10 because that's normally where I would shoot this gun anyway. And I got 40 shots essentially before it started to really drop. So let me just kind of give you those numbers, and then I'll tell you what I learned after I started doing some more testing. So, and I'll put numbers up on the screen or whatever. So yeah, that first set of shots, 40 shots, we had an average of 868, and that's pretty stout. Let me just see if I've got something that tells me what that is. Oh yeah, okay, so that's 56.88 foot-pounds. So that's, let's say 57 foot-pounds. And this did push up over 60 as a max, so that's pretty good. The extreme spread on those 40 shots was 57 feet per second, and the standard deviation was 15 feet per second. So I thought that was a little bit wide, frankly. So what I did next was I went through each power setting and shot a few shots, like 3 shots on each one, and just walked up each setting to see where I was really not getting any more benefit from more power. So what I found as I did that, let me go back to my shot list here. So here's this list, and I shot, is this it? Yes. Okay, so I shot, like the power setting one was, don't use it, it's under 400, 360. Then it jumps immediately to like 670. And I am running the Mark II heavies, just so you guys know, so I'm just putting it as 34 grain. This is 33.95 or whatever. But then it started to walk up. So power setting 3 was 780, 4 was 848-ish, 5 was 850, 6 was 870, and 7 was around 880, 890. And at that point, it just sort of leveled off. So from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, there was no benefit. So I ran another shot string running on power setting 7. I'm going to go back here. So what I did here, I noticed I was falling off the valve a little bit sooner than getting into that, you know, that 5th mag. So I stopped at 4 mags. Now, at 4 mags, we started at 873 and ended at 875. So, you know, we got a really nice curve there. The numbers show, let me get back here. All right, so the numbers show some pretty cool results. So 32 shots, 880 feet per second average. So that's pretty good. I mean, we're talking about, let's see if I got something here. That's 58.46, so 58.5 foot-pounds. That's pretty slamming. I'm going to go back to my shot group here. Okay, the extreme spread was 43 feet per second with a standard deviation of 11. Now, if I knew that I was going to be just living in that 32 shot world, 50 to 75 yards, I'm good to go. I'm not really going to have to think about too much. I mean, I'm not, the variation in the shot is really not going to impact me. Now, when I start to go to 100 yards, things do start to sort of open up. So I would shoot this gun at 7 power with the Mark II heavies. I would keep my shots between 50 and 75 yards. Obviously, closer is fine too. I probably, if I knew I was going to be shooting at 100 yards beyond, I would probably want to look to find some sort of slug to run rather than pellets, and then I'd really want to find that optimal space in my shot curve, you know, at my pressure level that would give me like 2 mags to give me what I wanted. Now, let's talk a little bit about the ammo, and then we'll talk about the accuracy we got with the Mark II heavies. So one of the cool things about this, and again, this really is one of the things that sort of endears me to this platform, the magazine is very, very wide. So sure, the Mark II heavies load, and there's like a huge gap in there. But I also have these Hunter Supply pellets, which are just frankly too long, and I say pellets, they're actually slugs. These slugs are just too long to go in any of the other magazines out there. But in here, not only do they fit, I have room to spare. So, you know, something like this gives you a lot of options when you're going to try and run alternate ammos. If you want to run heavier slugs to try and get the max foot-pounds out of this, crank the power up. Maybe when you get to like a much heavier projectile, that's when like power level 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 starts to come into play. But at the 34 grain pellets, you're just wasting, you know, you're just wasting air essentially. So what you could do with something like this, because you have that big deep mag, you have just so many different ammo options, which I think is pretty cool. Again, it's one of the reasons I like this gun so much from a hunting perspective. Let's see if I can decock this now. There it is. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to talk about before we get to the accuracy tests, I want to talk about trigger pull and noise and those types of things, because I know you guys, you know, that's important to you. The noise on this is pretty good. Let me pull up my numbers here. I did 3 tests because you guys have been asking for some different types of tests. Instead of, normally I just set up 5 feet. I put the mic towards the gun. We're going to get some mechanical noise and we're going to get shot noise that way, because I sort of want to know what it's going to sound like in this sort of sphere. So let me pull up my photos here. All right, so right up here next to the gun, we got 105.7, which in the guns we've been testing lately have been like 104 to 107. It's sitting right in the middle. So it's not that bad. Now, there's a caveat here, because if you hear, oh gosh, it's over 100 dB, you're going to think, that's just so loud. It's really not that loud. It's that fast and it's done. Really, and I think a lot of the noise is coming from here is the ping from the tube. If they were to do something to this gun to make it better, I would love to see a de-pinger in here, so we just had a thud instead of a ping sound. That would be really nice. So I know that for you guys that hate that ping sound, that's probably going to be something that bugs you a little bit. And I bet you if you took a little time, you could probably rig up a de-pinger to stop it. But that doesn't bother me, but it is one of those things that for some people that may be a deal breaker because they just hate that sound. But I bet you right up close here, that high noise level we're getting is a lot of mechanical sound and probably less shot noise. And the reason I say that is when we move to 45 feet, again, with the mic pointed back towards us, that number changes. So that number drops to 89.3. So now we're under 90 dB. That's not bad. That is pretty quiet. If I take the mic and point it sort of across the shot, that number drops further to 88.1. So as you can see, that if you were at 25 or 30 yards, then all of a sudden the shot noise just goes way down and the noise of the rifle goes way down. Now when it comes to trigger pull, here's another thing that is less than awesome on the gun. Frankly, the trigger is it's not a great trigger, and I don't mean that it's too heavy. It's just it's kind of floppy and it doesn't have a smoothness to it. It's kind of chunky, in my opinion. doesn't really mean I'm not going to shoot the gun. I love the gun. It's still going to be my favorite from a small game to pesting hunting rifle in 25 caliber. This thing is still going to be my choice, and it's still going to be my recommendation. But the trigger is not a bench rest trigger. It's not a match trigger. It's a straight up hunting trigger. So it does take a little getting used to. Again, pull weight is not bad. It's only 1 pound, 2 ounces. So it's not the pull weight. It's just, it's not real smooth. I don't know how else to put it. Once you shoot it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not a deal breaker for me, but it may be for you if you like a super trigger snob, which I sort of am. But I also kind of take things, I kind of put things in their categories. So if this was a bench gun, fail. If this is a hunting rifle, absolute win. The trigger is not that critical to me. So I kind of want to measure it according to what I'm going to use it for, what it's designed for. Hunting trigger, no problem. It is a bit chunky, however. Now let's talk about accuracy, because that's what matters. Really, I mean, we've got power. Power's not a problem. 55 to 62 foot-pounds is where this gun is crushing it in 25 caliber. Awesome. How does it do for accuracy? Well, at 50 yards, we shot 2 groups, and I need more practice. I'll just say that. And it deals with follow-through. I'm not sure if I'm a fan. I'm trying to find like the best rest for me to do these reviews and tests with. I'm not sure that I found it yet, because it's got a little bit of ricketiness to it. It wobbles. That may be the stand or whatever, but regardless, I still got what I would call very good hunting accuracy. So we're like about 1 inch at 50 yards, which anything at 50 yards that I'm hunting is gone. Absolutely gone. And I shot 2 mags. I want you guys to see that, 2 solid mags, the consistency is there. So even though it's not regulated, even though we've got a shot curve, I shot 2 mags at 50 yards, and we got really respectable groups as far as I'm concerned, as hunting groups. I also stretch it out to 100 yards, and it's really beautiful today. I mean, it's hot. I'm sweating like crazy today, but there's not a lot of wind. There was a teeny bit of breeze down there. I don't think that really impacted my shot results. But at 100 yards, it kind of spread out, started to kind of wander off to the right. So I don't know if it's, maybe I would want to use a different pellet or a different projectile, maybe a different slug, some sort of slug or something. But at 100 yards, it definitely started to open up. I also noticed that at 100 yards, that my control of the gun wasn't as good as it should be. This gun, as far as I'm concerned, was and still continues to be, for me, in my opinion, the best hunting gun that you could probably put your money into. So guys, that's going to wrap up this old school airgun review of the Seneca Eagle Claw. I hope that the information has been useful to you. If it has, please, subscribe, like the video, and also hit the notification button so you get notified. We have so many videos going out every single week, and I don't want you to miss a single one. My name is Rick Ucha here with AirgunWeb, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. Thanks for watching.